Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to this regularly scheduled meeting of the Planning Commission for Tuesday, November 14th, 2023. I'd like to open the meeting at 7:30. May we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Flag, the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have roll call, please?
Mr. Carpenter. Mr. Fitzer. Mr. Colbert.
Here.
Mr. Kucera.
Here.
Mr. Nushai.
Here.
Ms. Redmond.
Here.
Mr. Scott.
Here.
Mr. Solomon.
Here.
We have a quorum. Thank you. Agenda item number 4 is approval of the agenda. Does anyone have anything to change on the existing agenda? I see nothing, so I will therefore approve it as it stands. And we can move on to agenda item number 5, which is approval of the regular meeting minutes from October 24th, 2023, our last meeting.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Second.
I have a motion, support, any changes, corrections? Everybody happy with it? And a roll call, please.
Mr. Colbert.
Yes.
Mr. Kucera.
Yes.
Mr. Nushai.
Yes.
Ms. Redmond.
Yes.
Mr. Scott. Mr. Solomon.
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item number 6 is public discussion, items that are not on the agenda. Is anyone from the public wishing to refer to anything that's not on our standing agenda? Seeing none, I will then close public discussion. And we'll move on to agenda item number 7, which is a site plan review for 278 East 14 Mile Road, which is the old port. Joe can start us out here.
Yes, so this is essentially a renovation of the existing building. They are substantially proposing to change the facade and the overall appearance of the building. And otherwise, they're not really touching the rest of the site. It's really focused on the building. They are also looking to take the outdoor dining area that's been in front of the building for a while and formalize it a little bit more with a concrete patio out there. That's got CMD, Central Mixed Use District zoning. They are doing an interior renovation along with their exterior renovation. The square footage of the restaurant is changing a little bit. They're adding a new entry vestibule at the northeast corner of the building that's going to stick out from the front of the building.
Is that the only change to the square footage? I was just trying to confirm.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, that's
that
the
vestibule.
exactly
Okay.
just the vestibule. Yep. So we looked at the setbacks and all the other the height information and things, and those are all in compliance with the ordinance. We have quite a few standards for the CMD district. They're very similar to the CC district standards that we're a little more used to looking at. So we've got building elements standard, and we found those to be in compliance. Transparency standard is one subsection of those elements, though. And one thing that it does require is 70% transparency between 2 and 8 feet above grade. It's really trying to get a lot of window onto the front of the building. So the building doesn't currently meet that standard. It's got a couple of existing windows and doors. New facade has kind of roughly the same amount as the existing building. So in general, when we're dealing with an existing site, the goal of site plan review is to bring a non-conforming element of the site further into conformity while allowing for the reasonable continuation of some non-conformities. So one thing that you should discuss is the front facade window coverage on the plan. Determine whether there's any whether the proposed level of transparency is acceptable or if they should be providing some more. One thing I'll note is that the portion of the front facade with no windows now and on the plan encloses the kitchen. Typically have windows into the kitchen. But their interior renovations don't involve like completely reconfiguring and moving all the mechanicals and things. They're gonna have the kitchen in the same place. So that's something to keep in mind, when thinking about the amount of window coverage on the front of the building.
Joe, do you know the current like percentage it is?
I don't know the precise percentage.
Okay.
It's definitely not 70%, but I don't know
Like more,
exactly.
Like 20%, I mean.
It's more than 20, for it, because really we're talking between 2 and 8 feet.
Uh-huh.
So we're not talking about the full front facade. It's just that area between 2 and 8
Right,
feet.
okay.
So they're probably in the 50% range roughly.
50%.
When you don't consider the kitchen area.
Yeah.
With the kitchen area, they're definitely well below 50% when the kitchen area is taken into account.
So and maybe this is a question for the applicant on the side and the back, are there any constraints?
No, it's a front
That
facade
far
standard.
West side,
Yeah,
that's the kitchen. Okay.
right. Yeah, it's the west side of the building. That's the kitchen, exactly.
In the vestibule. That's gonna be, you said the northeast
East corner.
corner, so that's where there's the door at, right? If we're looking. at-
Exactly. The main door right now is there. They don't have a vestibule at the moment. They're bringing that out and kind of building off the front door. And that's along the side of the side street.
Are they, do you know, are they expanding the door entry? Like, or is the width gonna be the same?
There's probably more transparency there because they've got a large window on the front of that.
Right,
That's larger square footage wise than the door itself. Between 2 and 8 feet above the above grade. The new doors are gonna face the sides of the vestibule. And then they've got a window on the front of the vestibule.
I think the elevations are mislabeled. The east and the west. You look at that.
That's
Swap,
possible.
yeah. The east is the west and the west is the east.
Yeah, I think that's where I was getting confused
Yeah.
as well.
Um. It's going there, to that sheet. It's taking a second. Oops. Yeah, let's see, south. East, west. Yeah, that's correct. The west and east elevation labels are reversed. Other notes on our review. They do look to be screening the rooftop equipment. They've got some exposed rooftop equipment now. They've got a new parapet that's involved with this new facade. So that would screen the equipment on the roof. For building materials, we do have EFS as a prohibited material in the CC and CMD districts. It's shown on the plans as an accent material on the front facade. They're going to need to sign an application for the new signage. That's pretty typical. Parking lots not being modified. You can discuss whether you feel it's appropriate to require any bike parking, given the scope of the project. And then they show some lighting fixtures on the front of the building, but we don't have any details of those fixtures, so that we need some details of that to assess whether or not those fixtures are compliant. Those are the kind of highlights of our letter. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to address them. Otherwise, we can go to the applicant.
Joe, I guess, so the facade or the EFS. Is it below that don't we have a 2 foot?
That's outside the downtown. It has to be above 10 feet.
10,
And then
okay,
in the downtown, it's just a prohibited material
okay.
in the CC and CMD districts.
And was that something that has already been discussed with the applicants that we know of? I mean, that,
Not in detail, they've received a copy of the letter, but that's it.
Okay,
Has the applicant had a meeting with you and administration regarding these changes?
Not with me.
We
I
don't
don't know if you.
do that to new business in town, we don't do that.
We've spoken with them. They submitted their application before discussion, and then we just talked to them after that was submitted.
Okay. Any more questions for Joe then? Or? And would the applicant like to talk to us if you like, can you please come to the microphone or?
Hi, I'm Alex Adler, architect working for Luigi and representing Old Port Restaurant. So, based on the meeting and what I heard tonight, I don't see anything that we can't change to meet the requirements from the city. I wasn't aware about the EFS not being allowed in the downtown area, so, we'll come up with some other finish that will meet the requirement.
Yeah,
Um,
that's prohibited, so you'll have to conform to that. Adding a bicycle rack, you say that is a problem or anything, or?
A bicycle rack?
Yeah.
I don't think that'll be an
I
issue.
would think that'd be a big problem either.
And providing lighting details, once we finalize what those lights will be, we'll share that with the city also.
Right.
So,
Is there any opportunity to add additional windows on either the side or the back of the building to bring
So
the
the-
transparency?
so the front side or the side facing Main Street, I believe there's an opportunity to add one more window that's similar to the two that are there, or two that we're showing. And perhaps on the other side also, parallel to the street that's there, perpendicular to Main Street. I don't recall the name of that one street, but Pear Street, thank you. There's an opportunity to put a window
Yeah, I think
similar
there's-
to the existing there
right,
also.
There's one small window. I don't know if there's ability to put another one just to come closer to our standards for transparency.
Yeah, and that'll get us closer to maybe 60% excluding the kitchen.
Right.
So,
We understand like that's a constraint. I don't think
Yeah.
we can show the kitchen there.
yeah,
So,
so it would be hard pressed to get to the 70% though, given the current layout of the restaurant.
well, can you explain? Where are you talking about potentially putting more windows? If I'm looking at it, right, I guess maybe I'm looking at it wrong. You would put it on facing 14 Mile, right?
Yes,
Um,
I believe there's an opportunity to fit one more window similar to what we have shown there.
okay,
We could put three.
I mean, I'm trying not to make you do a whole bunch more, like, is there opportunity within the vestibule to make it more transparent? Or is it something
Well-
you guys kind of, I mean, are you gonna have to take out a wall to do more windows or?
The vestibule from all sides, I believe we have large size windows, making that almost probably 90% windows.
Is it 90%?
Yeah,
Okay.
in the vestibule area, you know. And then the backside, there's no good reason to put windows in the
For
back.
sure, yeah,
Yeah,
that wouldn't count for you anyway.
okay.
So, yeah, and, I know, so did you know about the 70% thing too?
No,
No, okay. Cause I feel bad that it's kind of a lot, for us to condition an approval with you not having all the information that I feel like probably should have been had before coming here, right? But,
70% to me makes sense if you're putting up a new building and starting from scratch, but if you're taking an existing building like we're doing here, and just adding and changing it, it's somewhat of a hardship, I think, by closing off. Because
yeah, there's a lot of extra work that we have to account for. There may be some changes to the existing structure that we hadn't
right.
thought of. just to make the windows work.
Yeah,
Is that 70% only considered on the front elevation or can they,
It is.
okay, so like,
yeah.
okay.
Any further questions?
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess just
We'll have to
discussion.
decide, yeah.
Yeah.
As a
So
group.
no further questions, just discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. What's the thought?
I feel like it's gonna be a lot to push on them, the window, and that's something that we'd probably like to see in prior to approving plans, especially in the EFS as well. I do feel bad that they've come here.
Are you asking that they return, with a more formalized?
I mean, we have done it with conditions before, but that's those are kind of big conditions, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I mean, I feel it would make sense for them to return with an updated plan.
Yeah, see if
Or
they
some
can.
things that they weren't aware of, that they now are. And I think it would be easier for us to be able to
Kind of track.
assess, yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
That way, at this point, they know the ephes is not allowed, so that's be off the prints here. Like you said, a bike rack's no big thing to add, signage I'm not worried about because that's handled by city, the sign will change, but it will be enforced that way. So the front windows are our main concern right now, which I don't know if they can actually make a change in that.
Right, maybe we can ask them like how much time they would need to like reformulate a couple things and come back, or?
Are you looking for a new print, a new design,
Well, I would think that on the fly, it's hard to decide what's the right place for a window and how much more they can add, so maybe giving them a couple weeks, and I don't know if the next meeting's too soon, or and find other materials and make sure that those.
Yeah, I don't know, if Joe has a recommendation on like, we acknowledge that they might not be able to get to 70%, but it's hard to have a conditional approval of X% until we can see a new plan. So is there a best way to kind of go forward with the applicant, whether it's today or have them come back? Because I think we're a little stuck on the transparency at 70%. Most everything else is easy
Right.
or
Mhm.
will be evaluated by another body.
Well, except for the EFS,
And the EFS is another thing,
Right.
but
that's out.
yeah,
we already know.
but we'd like to know what material,
Sure.
and make sure that they know maybe what materials they can use instead of the EFS, and make sure that that works.
I
for
think
them.
we can condition that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the transparency is the confusing thing.
Mhm.
Can they, can't they? I mean,
Just knowing we probably won't meet the full requirements at
Right.
percent, given. the-
Right.
But you're looking for them to add more windows if possible, is that?
that's kind of what, yeah, I thought that's what we were talking about.
Right. Well, I mean, we can discuss it a little more with them here, see what their feeling is and kind of make a decision based on that discussion. But yeah, I mean, the EFS, we can work on a material with them if you condition that. If you condition an approval on that, that's not a problem. And the other things are also things that can kind of be handled administratively as conditions of approval. As far as the transparency is concerned, it's really up to you whether or not you do want to see the plan again. But I would have a little more discussion with the applicant just to determine whether or not they can tell you now with a fair degree of certainty whether or not they're going to be able to increase it. And how they might go about doing that if they can.
I mean, is it appropriate to have an open condition though, that's a open, increased transparency to the extent possible? I mean, we can't provide a percentage, right? So,
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think it would have to be somewhat open. Because picking a percentage to aim for, that could be a structural issue with the building or something that they then run into that, it makes that impossible to do. So.
And are they, like, this is probably more of a Nick question, but is there something that's provided to applicants that tells them like, these are the things that we're gonna try to, the 70% might not get there, but like, here's our standards that we're gonna look to.
We have a development guide and a zoning ordinance, so
You expect,
Yes.
okay, you just expect that they'll reference them, okay.
What is proposed right now? What percentage?
I'm not sure exactly because I don't have window dimensions to
Okay.
measure it on. They may be able to provide that. But I don't know what the exact percentage is right now. I've been able to kind of, try to ballpark it a little bit, but I don't have the exact numbers.
Yeah, because if they're able to actually accommodate it, then, why not try, right?
Mhm.
And even though it's called transparency and you're looking for 70%, what about an out of the box idea like this, the Church of Clausen
Mhm.
put in windows, they look like windows. from
Oh,
outside. In reality,
the
they're not.
non-windows.
They look from outside view, would that?
Uh,
suffice? Really balance the look of
Was
the
it
building?
functional?
Yeah,
Is it functional glazing or is it just,
it's supposed to be functional glazing.
They're fake windows.
so there's not,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I don't know that there would be I don't know that there would be a point to it.
Right, because the intent of transparency is
They're
to
They're not.
walkable.
Yeah,
space.
to see the
They
interior and
balance the
activity,
aesthetic
yeah,
of The outside of the buildings, what they're doing with it.
right,
So I didn't know if that would blend in here or not, because I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, 'cause those
Cable.
arch- yeah. Those arch, I mean, where the ephes is, or those arches, I'm assuming that's ephes due to the,
Mhm.
maybe the roof lines right there. I gotta dive into it, but.
Yeah, that's roughly where the eave comes down to right now. Yeah.
Well, it says proposed, so are they, I mean, without diving into this, I mean, are they going to just elevate the actual parapet, or are they raising the whole structure, the ceiling height?
That is the ceiling height going up?
That is correct.
Okay.
The ceiling height for the dining room area
Mhm.
is going up a few feet.
Okay.
So I mean, those arch windows could, or those arch ephes could be windows, it could be glazing.
Right, we did that to save cost in the budget.
Okay.
Mhm.
So it's,
That would solve two
Yeah.
But
of
it's
the
possible.
issues, right?
And could you come to the
The eaves
microphone,
and the
please?
window,
right,
right?
See if I won't be able to hear what's going on.
yeah, so you have, you have an opportunity to put glazing at those archways.
Yeah,
or those
looking
arches.
at the plan, I don't think there's much opportunity to add another window to the right, because after that side door, it's kitchen area, so.
No, I'm saying the arches above the,
Right,
glass.
you're just talking about extending the windows, making them higher.
correct, yeah.
Yeah, that's a possibility, and that would probably get us to maybe 50%.
Mhm.
But if you include the new glass on the vestibule, I don't know, pretty close to 60%.
And that's the best, this is the best.
Yeah, right here, yeah.
Okay,
So
okay.
what I'm talking about is.
Yeah, and is that the only place that you had ephes on your plans?
Yeah,
Is above the
At,
windows?
at the top, yeah.
So can we come to some type of resolution that if we can get those converted to a window, then we've got we feel good about moving forward, or?
Makes sense.
So a conditional improvement, conditional. I mean, approval, if we can convert that ephes today into a larger, taller window. That way, at
Yeah.
least you guys don't have to return to this body.
Mhm.
We could do that then. Make it-
Would you be in favor of a motion to that effect, or would you insist that they come back with clear drawings?
Well, I think you know where the windows would go at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah,
That's
it sounds like
pretty
there's
outline.
no other
Hey, that's
placement. of windows
that's pretty
to go
much it.
higher,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So I think
So
that
I
could
think a conditional approval would be appropriate.
Okay,
Okay,
further questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the site plan for 45 East 14 Mile. With contingency of, changing that ephes to window and throwing in do we wanna do the bike
Like that?
rack as well? And yeah. The bike rack and the ephes to windows.
They have to submit their lighting details.
Oh, in the lighting detail. Thank you, Joe.
Yes, they'll have to
Sign application.
apply for new signage, but that wouldn't affect us.
Yeah, they'll do that
They'll
that's
be-
a kind of a default
They'll
thing.
be forced into that position to do that, yes.
So I think my motion is done.
I think, you want to second it?
I'll second.
Anybody wanna?
Just a point of clarification.
Good.
EVIS is a, prohibited material.
Right.
You've already converted what I believe was outlined in the plan as the only, because we don't need to say anything further, do we? That this motion covers all that.
For the motion, I believe what you're saying is that the window will take place of the ephes, and then if there's leftover area where ephes was on the plan, that would be the stone that's provided in the plan.
You want to make.
Like,
sure that-
if the window doesn't
We need
take
to
up
make
the
sure
full
that-
area of the
Oh,
ephes.
Yeah, I thought
Okay.
that he said that that was the only ephes that was in their plan.
So they have 4 archways, so there's 1, 2, 3, and then the one on the side.
Oh, on the.
So do we wanna add in? Making the east elevation
Yeah,
glazing too, and that might help offset. Some of the. The percentage that we're missing,
Well, that, I don't think that count, wait, the east.
I mean, we'd be giving them a somewhat of a variance.
A little bit of a flexibility, I guess.
Oh, okay, I mean, it can't be ephes though, right?
No, it can't, but I mean, right now, they don't have to change, they can just do that in stone, this one in stone. We were asking for these 2 arches to be turned to glass. But they've got to change these 2 arches too.
Okay, just,
To stone.
can I amend my,
Sure.
to change the east
Yeah.
and the other north elevation not having windows to stone? Does that make sense, Nick?
Yeah, I got it.
Thanks.
Do I ever
You can-
support it?
interpret that.
Well, I support that.
Second, yeah, I'll second.
Yeah.
Further conversation? And I'll take roll call.
Mr. Lucero,
Yes.
Mr. Nushai,
Yes.
Ms. Redmond,
Yes,
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Solomon,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
Mr. Colburn.
Passes. Welcome to Clausen again. Moving on to agenda item number 8 is other business.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do you have any other business?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing none, how about we, do we have a planner's report?
Yes, briefly, there is gonna be a link to a public input opportunity for the downtown master plan going out soon. So we'll make sure that gets to all of you and you can share it around and take the survey yourselves and yeah, we're gonna get that out as soon as possible and just be on the lookout for it because it should come from Nick, the link. So there'll be a little opportunity for everyone to weigh in on the downtown master
Joe,
plan.
you were here today for that open house,
Mhm,
right?
Yep.
Is it an appropriate time to get feedback on how that went?
It was not much turnout. So we're hoping that we can push the online version of it and get some more feedback that way and then possibly follow up with another in-person opportunity.
On that note too, so I agree, online probably works best for most people, but what did we do to promote this workshop? And then what do we do further in the future for future workshops to improve that-
Right.
the attendance? Because I think there was 1, maybe 2 residents that attended.
Right.
Aside from giving out free pizza, I don't know what else we
I
can
mean,
do.
I don't even know how it was marketed. I didn't see anything personally on
Sure.
social media. I don't know if it's out there in, the library or, the school or somewhere else where
Right.
meant like, residents can see that this is happening.
Yeah,
I don't think our traditional means of getting the word out are working. So I was just trying to think
Sure.
through
Is
what
it
can we do next
displayed
time?
on our sign out front ever when we have these little workshops as like a,
Did anybody read that?
I mean, I have read it like next council meeting
Not
or,
happening
you know,
driving by.
Yeah.
yeah,
Just
I
The
mean,
lights long enough.
Yeah. I will take some stock of that. We'll have a internal discussion.
Yeah, and it's not to blame anybody individually, it's just an
Yeah.
idea of how do we improve the opportunity, the one main opportunity for the residents of the city to come and have their voice heard. I hear all the time by reading or talking to neighbors that people don't want the buildings any taller, that people are worried about road diets. Well,
Right.
this is really the one formal means to provide that feedback, record it, and then have this body and other bodies have that as a, support document to look at when we make decisions. So
Yep.
just trying to make sure we're doing what we can.
Oh, yeah.
Jones sneaking up on you.
Yeah,
Ah.
We could have been advertised a little better. I agree, and I could have done better with that. But I do have to say, the last time we did our master plan update, we were there for 2 hours. I think we had 6 people.
Yeah.
So people don't come out for these.
Yeah.
We'll do the survey. The survey does much better.
I seen that online. survey,
But
you
we
got
were
good response.
talking that all of the boards that were done, once the survey has started, I think we'll open up another time and set the boards out. And if people have a question about the survey, they can come and look at those and ask.
Okay,
So we'll try that and see
so
if,
maybe somewhere even on the online webpage for the survey, say. We'll have another in person if you want to look at. the
yes, if you want to
they'll
come
have
in and
conversations.
ask questions, we'll have, yeah.
Wait.
And I think once they've seen the survey, I know a lot of people in the city one didn't finish theirs right away. They started it and they went, I don't know, maybe I have questions. So if this engages them and they think, oh, maybe I want to ask somebody about that,
Yeah,
we'll have another time.
I appreciate that. Just trying to think of ideas. And again, we all see a lot of feedback and hear it from client or from residents, so. Sorry, business came out there. But yeah, I think that's great. If you guys could do that and add some language to the top of the survey.
Okay, then we'll move on to the staff report and training opportunities.
And just to go back on that real quick, I think Joan mentioned it, and then what we plan on doing is having those boards at, say, the infrastructure open house. That way they can still look at content that we've been talked about. That way there's still an opportunity to provide feedback. So they'll be available, and we'll do a better job marketing next time. We can just learn and try and do better
And
for
Nick, on
future.
that, was there any requirement to separate the modules in this kind of way? Would it make sense to have a larger, let's talk about more than one topic? I mean,
And we will, but again, this open house was for the DDA specific master plan, not the master plan as a whole. But I think what we'll probably do is for the next open house, we'll tie everything together again. So if people show up to that, they can still offer some perspective. So just want to run through a couple things in the staff report. I haven't harped on this recently at meetings, but I know you're all, except for Mr. Carpenter here, as the rookie on the planning commission, is registered for the citizen planner, which we'll get you registered for soon. I reached out to them to see how our team is doing here, and I think there's some room for improvement on getting that completion done. I see some smiles on there. I won't run through the current progress, but you know where you are. And so, I just want to make sure you guys take some time to work towards getting that certification. And if you have questions on accessing your account, working towards it, please let me know and we can make sure we can get you access. In the report, I added a couple different things. I've been doing that throughout the last couple of months. And so I added upcoming site plans. And so one thing I want to try doing is letting you as a body know what plans are coming up on future meetings. And obviously that's contingent on when we receive them and how the plans will go out. And I've also added in the new business category, which I'm trying to keep up to date as possible. There's some variations when the business license is received, they get occupancy, et cetera. So just want to try and get some feedback from you guys, whether it's during this meeting or outside of it, on what you're looking for in the report. If you want to structure differently or any recommendations you can have, I'd really appreciate that.
I love the forecasting, just so.
Yeah. And I'd like to try and find a balance for online is, having plans available when we get them. And once we know it's scheduled an event, we don't want to get a plan and immediately throw it on there because they're subject to change. But wanting to keep you informed as much as possible when we receive plans is a goal of ours.
And under site plan updates. Page 2, multifamily development, that's 436, 456 West 14 Mile. And it's the 3 houses that are being taken down, right, for the it says demolition permit has been submitted by the owners. I see on Facebook, a lot of people are complaining, somebody actually videotaped it. But please tell me that those structures aren't gonna look like they are right now all the way through winter. Is there a way of taking those buildings down?
Certainly no, I knew that was going to come up tonight. So they applied for their demo permit last week and the water department is still shutting the water off, which finished up middle to late last week. So their permit will be issued tomorrow and they want to get those demolished as soon as possible. So we're probably looking at, ideally by the end of November, but certainly by the winter.
You won't have to go through the winter.
Yeah, they're ready to go and they want to get those down as well.
Okay, because I noticed the old Burger King site, their tarp was in sad shape and they came in and talked to us, but they've replaced their tarps. At least it's screened off better than what it was, that the old tarping was falling apart.
Right.
And my other question is on temporary certificates of occupancy. Here we go again, property address 288 West 14 Mile Road. It says ongoing review of the TCO status with administration. Is there any progress on this?
Yeah, the city attorney's drafting a notice to be sent to her and we'll be following up with that accordingly. But that's the only update I have.
I've been told that for quite some time. In fact, I sent Renus an email last week, I think, and I got absolutely no response from him.
Unfortunately, that's the only update I can give for you right now.
Okay, because I think he knows what my next move is going to be on that. That's just where I stand. Do we know what's going down the street here? Why they dug up all the water and gas lines?
Along Broadacre.
On Main Street, all the way from like Broadacre way down here.
So there was some utility work being done.
I think they did under just.
Yeah, it wasn't water or gas or electric. It was I think 5G, something related to that.
Well, on my front lawn, I didn't even see them do it. And I blew my leaves off today and where my water shut off is a big hole dug there. And where my gas line shut off is, there's another hole dug there.
They pulled permits the contractor did for right of way work.
This isn't right away, this is my lawn.
Well, they pulled the right of way permit. I'm not certain what was done there.
Are they responsible for replacing sod or grass on private property?
They are, and yes, they should be.
They should be.
Is it on the grass between the sidewalk and the street?
No, it's
Is that on your front lawn?
between the sidewalk and my house.
Oh,
That's where the water shut off is. And for some reason, they dug out the water shut. I don't know why they would dig that. Replace that valve or anything because I have a lead line on the house. So I would have thought that would have been done at the same time you're gonna replace the lead line. I
Yeah,
have no idea why they dug a hole for the gas line there.
I'm not sure either. The DPW handles right of way permits, so I'll talk to
Yeah.
the leadership over there tomorrow morning.
Okay, that's good for me. Anybody else have any discussion about anything?
I just want to say thanks. Yeah, I think it's super helpful to see, especially like site plan updates and things that we've approved in the past where they're at. And like Excel Collision, I drive by basically every day and that looks quite nice on the exterior now. It's a nice improvement from what it was. And
Mhm.
so thanks for just documenting a lot of this for us, Nick.
Yeah, they're hoping to be done yesterday, ideally, but very soon. But again, if you guys are looking for anything additional, specific items, please let me know. I'd be happy to see how we can fit it in there, or just any constructive criticism you can offer would be great. I can handle it.
you know you can. Thank you, Nick, though. It's appreciated.
Thank you. Number 11, legal update. We have no lawyers. We have no legal update. If no one else has anything else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion second, roll call, please.
Mr. Solomon,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Ms. Redmond,
Yes.
Mr. Nushai,
Yes.
Mr. Cusero,
Yes.
Mr. Colbert,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Greg, it sounds like a cartoon character was trying to trap you. There's a pole with a bunch of leaves over it. You know, I'm just thinking like,
Like 20 or something.
yeah, right. You step on the leaves and you go in the hole, you know?
Roadrunner. Roadrunner, yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, right, yeah.